Hi, this is Kytka, known as Bestseller Authority. When I discuss my ghostwriting and bestseller engineering process with potential clients, sometimes we come to a place where cost is what's going to prohibit us from moving forward. And when this happens, I offer some coaching on how you can get someone else to actually pay to ghostwrite and publish your book while still keeping all of your rights and royalties. This morning, after discussing this strategy with 3 different prospects, I decided to make this quick 10-minute video to share this powerful information with you. Now, first of all, whether you're aware of it or not, strategic product placement happens all of the time. We're probably most aware of it in the corporate sense. Remember the Tom Hanks film Castaway? Can you imagine that film without FedEx? I mean, he was on the FedEx airplane, he worked at his FedEx job, he was delivering the FedEx packages, all the way to the end scene where he went to deliver the final FedEx box. Now, in this specific case, FedEx did not pay for the placement. In fact, the idea of a story based on their FedEx plane crashing kind of gave the company a heart attack at first, but by the end, the overall story was seen as very positive for the company, and they saw a significant increase in brand awareness in both Asia and Europe following the film's release. In the latest James Bond film, Skyfall, which is the 23rd Bond film, by the way, Bond gives up his usual shaken martini and favors a Heineken beer. Now, when asked about the deal, Bond star Daniel Craig told Moviefone in this interview, quote, "We have relationships with a number of companies so that we can make this movie. The simple fact is that without them, we couldn't do it. It's unfortunate, but that's how it is. A movie costs a lot of money to make, and it costs nearly as much, again, if not more, to promote. And so we go where we can." And then, of course, there was The Longest Yard, the Adam Sandler film. Remember the first time when Gatorade was shown and we could hear the football players screaming, "Who drank all the Gatorade?" Of course, throughout the film, major product placement got more and more obvious as the film went on. Gatorade, Bentley, Reebok, Lay's potato chips, Dell laptops, McDonald's cheeseburgers, People magazine, Icy Hot, The View talk show, ESPN. Placement sponsorship was how that film was financed and made. And of course, one of the most famous and probably earliest examples of product placement was in E.T., Steven Spielberg's 1982 film that used the scattered Reese's to lure the much-loved extraterrestrial out of his closet hiding place. Of course, after the film's release, sales soared for Reese's, and now in many films, product placement has really grown distastefully out of control. Now, I'm not saying write a book to sell product placement, of course not. But if you're someone who needs to get to that next level and a book is out of your reach for financial reasons and lack of funds, then why not consider placement or even sponsorship? Specific products, services, or even individuals could be written in as case studies or examples of what works or where to locate specific products and services. And sponsor placement in your book does not have to look like advertising. In fact, I advise against that. The last thing that you want to do is make your book look like some sort of yellow pages or ad campaign. But strategically positioning and writing a sponsor into the content of your book is a very elegant way that they're being mentioned, which gives them credibility. For the sponsor or product placement person, appearing in alignment with your content sets a subliminal trigger that the author, you, are an endorser or a supporter of the specific product or service. A published book is seen as one of the most credible forms of endorsement that there is. What you get when you do this is called targeted third-party exposure. In other words, they're being placed in front of a highly targeted audience in the form of an endorsed service or product. When you're approaching your sponsor, tell them that you've hired a ghostwriter and the bestseller engineer who's guaranteed results. Tell them that you wish to write them into the content of the book as a product or service placement sponsor. The bottom line is that you're going to be giving them a super powerful promotional advantage that will cost them very little of their total annual marketing budget. Magazine or news ads are per issue, whereas a book is going to be forever. So this carries a long-term benefit to your sponsor. Now, some obvious examples would be if you're writing a book on globalization, you could approach a sponsor who offers foreign language study materials or an immersion school or program abroad. If you're writing a book on sales strategy, you might wish to approach successful salespeople who are doing very well and have them pay for case study or interviews within your book. If your book is on chiropractic spinal care, then you may wish to approach mattress companies. If your book is on fitness, you may wish to approach companies that would sell exercise equipment, protein powders, vitamins. If you're a realtor writing on historic homes, for example, you may recommend contractors, paint companies, antique dealers in the specific area or abroad, depending. But these kinds of things tend to work very well if you're in a locale-based niche. If your book is on vitality and health, then you may want to approach a company that sells supplements. And you could even take that to a more intimate level by contacting the local Shaklee rep or juice rep in your area. The point is, they don't have to be big corporate sponsors. Think out of the box. Who would benefit from having a placement in your book? How will the reader benefit from having this specific targeted information? If your book deals with traveling abroad and you're writing it based on your own experience, you could consider sharing staying in specific bed and breakfasts. Those would be obvious sponsorship targets. And I'm sharing these with you just to kind of get your mind working and so that you can start thinking of the direction that you could take this in. If you don't have any existing relationships with sponsors, then browse some magazines in your field. Look at the ads that people have placed. How much were the ads? What was the target market? How many people are they reaching? After gathering some facts, call the people who placed the ad and tell them that you saw them in the magazine. Tell them that you're writing a book and that you've hired a professional ghostwriter and a bestseller engineer and that you would love to offer them exclusive product placement within the book. It's highly credible to be mentioned in a book because people throw away magazines and newspapers all of the time. They'll throw away business cards and flyers and brochures, but books, people tend to hold on to books. And then when you look at the cost, a single page ad in a magazine can cost $15,000 and up. What you're offering them is a lifetime placement in a published work, which is professionally written and guaranteed to be a bestseller. They get the endorsement value, and in comparison to traditional advertising, they're underwriting book production and publication, which is for life. Their brand awareness is going to increase in a very real, credible way. When you present it to them this way, what you're offering to them is relatively inexpensive in terms of their overall marketing budget. You can decide that you want to have several sponsors, or if you wish to offer exclusivity, just one sponsor could do it. And it could be in the form of businesses, products, services, individuals. I mean, it's really up to you. For example, if you're writing a book on travel, you could have 3 different exclusive sponsors. One could be the travel agency, another could be the hotel chain, and finally the rental car company. None of these are in direct competition with one another, and yet they're each exclusive to what they offer. So that's something to think about. Another way to do this would be to offer free placement within the book, but they would have to agree to buy a certain amount of copies at retail, which they could use for their own marketing. For example, if your book is going to sell at $15, have them to commit to buy 100 copies, and you have $1,200 in your pocket, $1,500 less the obvious amount for the books and the shipping cost. Another way to do it is to add them to the resources or interview them. You could mention them as your preferred source. The possibilities are really limitless and they can be customized to both you and your sponsor's objectives. The goal, of course, is to get your book written and your message out to the world. You gain the obvious author credibility, but your sponsor also gains by the prestige that they get from being highlighted or featured in your book. Don't let money stop you from making the decision to get your book out there. Instead, get creative and pumped on how you can build momentum and accountability by recruiting some awesome sponsors who will be on your team to make your book happen. So if you're ready to take action, then click below and let's schedule a call to discuss your book project. Remember, where there's a will, there's a way.